Hi there, Let's Talk Sports fans. Thanks for tuning in to our first episode of our AFC West Roundtable. And I'm joined by my contributors and co hosts, starting with Nick Bodkins, of course, one of our neutral voices, shall we say. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, always, Dan. Always, yeah. I mean, people who've been watching me, I'm not really having much of a neutral voice, but excited to get on here and talk. Probably the best division in football. I mean, I'm not scared to say that. I think top to bottom, 1 through 4, you put these guys in different teams, in different divisions. I mean, this division's going to be tough. I'm excited to talk about it with these gentlemen.
So I mean, I will be neutral, and Bodkins can just be in the hater corner. Yeah, and I'm joined by Tanner, who will be the Chiefs voice, and also I'm sure he'll offer his opinions on the other teams who he's going hate everything what all of them are doing. I'm sure.
Not quite. But yes, happy to be on. Happy to talk some AFC West.
Yeah, thanks for that. And there was our Broncos voice for this panel. Happily agreed to come on, and I know he has his own podcast. Thank you for joining us, and if you tell people a little bit about your content before we delve into your thoughts about Russell Wilson, which it seems like you've got some thoughts to share.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm Dale from the Talking Hats podcast. We talk sports and really life in general. Born and raised in Washington, D.C. You see my Nationals hat here. But I live in Colorado now. I'm a Broncos fan. My brother played for the Broncos for 4 years. So that's pretty much where my fandom stems from. Went to a lot of games in that period, and I've gone to games since. And just followed the team now that I'm out here in Colorado. So just ready to talk about some Broncos here. Let's ride, baby.
Awesome.
I like that. So, if we get started, Denver made ultimate power move this off-season, bringing in Russell Wilson. So, the first question I wanted to ask all of you is, what's your general view of their roster? We'll get into expectations to finish up, but is there any holes you can see? It's certain they've got high expectation, and as Nick said before we went on, probably the best division in football. So if we start with you, Dale.
Yeah, as far as the roster goes, from top to bottom, it's pretty stacked. And that's pretty tough to do when you've got a massive quarterback contract. But they've managed to do it. The only real hole I see is at tight end. And I wasn't worried about that at all until Tim Patrick got hurt. Tim Patrick is a real dependable, like utility type receiver. He just does everything well. Very consistent and steady. Had been healthy and had a pattern of healthy with the Broncos. I know he had some injuries early in his career, but he was just their steady Eddie guy. You could always count on him. But when he went down, my wife was at the training camp practice when he tore his ACL. That was a bigger loss than people are going to realize, and that makes that hole at tight end more glaring. But outside of that, their offensive line is solid, led by Garrett Bowles at left tackle. He's very solid and gotten better every year he's been in the league. They've got Reisner at guard, Cushenberry at center, and in the backfield, I mean, that might be one of the best backfields in football with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon as his backup. Melvin Gordon backing somebody up like that, that's a huge backfield there. Then at receiver, I mentioned Tim Patrick, he's gone, but you've still got Judy, who's great. He's getting better every year. You've got Cortland Sutton, a proven, if he can stay healthy, a proven top-tier receiver. And then on the defensive side, this is the unit that's going to lead the team. Best secondary in football, led by Surtain, had an outstanding rookie year. Yep, Surtain is the guy. What? Am I hearing some hate?
I'm gonna let you finish, and then I'll rebuttal after.
I love to hear. I love to hear what you got to say about that because their defense, in my opinion, is just stacked. You've got Justin Williams too. You've got Darby at the other corner. You've got Chubb at linebacker. Nick Benito, a rookie linebacker coming in. He's got speed. Randy Gregory. This is probably the Chargers' defense is up there. But I'm taking the Broncos as the best defense in the division, and that's going to keep them. That's going to pace them all season. Their defense.
So Nick, rather than ask you the same question, should I ask you why he is wrong about their cornerback situation? It would seem.
So I'm just going to counter some different points. I mean, he's worried about the tight end position. Don't worry, Russ Wilson never throws to the tight end.
Exactly.
Ask
That's
Jimmy.
fair.
Ask Jimmy Graham. They just went through like after Jimmy Graham in Seattle, they just went changed out tight end after tight end after tight end in Seattle. So you don't worry about the tight end position. Tim Patrick is going to hurt, but I mean KJ Hamler backing him up. I think he'll kind of be able to slide in. I'm in agreement as far as I think they're much improved. But I mean, you said the only part of disagreement I have, because I do like Denver's defense, is that you said that they were the best secondary in the league. I'll take Green Bay secondary. Give me Jair Alexander, top 5 corner. Give me Darnell Savage, top 5 corner. You add Stokes. You add Razul Butler. I mean, give me those guys over Denver's secondary. Maybe as a whole, Denver's defense might be just an edge hair better than Green Bay's. But no, I'll take Green Bay secondary as the top of the defense, and that might just be I'm a smidge homer, but and I know you are too. I can see that you are. Hey, clearly you are too, my friend. I mean, so that's the only disagreement. I think Denver. Still have Denver finishing 3rd in this division just due to, I mean, until proven otherwise, I have to pick the Chiefs. Until proven otherwise, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, 8 straight years. Until proven otherwise, I'm gonna pick them. Until Andy Reid in Philadelphia did the same thing. Just until proven otherwise, I have to stick with the Chiefs. And then it comes down to the Chargers. Chargers are going to charge, and what that means is they're always going to finish 8-8 or 8-9. They're going to win some games they're going to win, and then they're going to lose some games that they're supposed to win. So Denver will be right there as that 2-3, and then I kind of got the Raiders as that fourth spot. But I just kind of disagreed as far as just the secondary defense. But I'll let Tanner kind of go here and talk about Denver. And before we get into like the Russell Wilson situation,
I can't wait for Minnesota to roll all over your best secondary in the NFL. I can't wait for it because it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
I'd rather take Denver secondary than your secondary.
Hey, Tanner, real quick, you know who else is going to roll over that secondary twice this season?
Who's that?
The Lions.
Jared Goff?
Jared Goff is so underrated. Watch what he does this season.
Oh, man, smoking Jeremy B's like running around naked probably outside with that comment.
MVP candidate.
No, there is no way.
MVP candidate. Hot take.
We don't have JG on the show. This guy just replaced JG's hot takes, Tanner.
I love it. All right.
Hey, you on that Colorado smoking smoke, ain't you, boy?
Back to Kansas City.
All right, let's get back to the AFC West here. All right. So I actually don't mind this Broncos starters. The starters is I think the key, right? As long as these guys stay healthy, they're fine. I got Russell Wilson. I said this last year on a few of the shows that Denver is literally a quarterback away from being a potential playoff to a Super Bowl contender. And they went out and got the quarterback going into play with Russell Wilson, which is the perfect guy to have, too, for this kind of offense. It's a fast offense. Jerry Jeudy's fast. Cortland Sutton's a big body, but he's quick. And now KJ Hamler is coming back from his injury. He's going to be fast and quick as well. So I like that going to play. Javonte Williams will beat Melvin Gordon, of course, right there. Mike Boone from Minnesota. That's also a depth pick you got to watch for because he was really effective in Minnesota when he was backing up Madison. So look at that play. Defensive-wise, I don't know yet. I love the secondary. I love the linebackers. I think your defensive line is going to be the question play of this. Basically, the question of play for this whole defense, coming into this season. But I like the Randy Gregory signing's kind of questionable to me, though. I don't know. I hope we get to see the Randy Gregory we should see, but I don't like. I feel like it's a very questionable deal now that he's got some money underneath his hat right now. So, yeah. But I think I definitely do like the secondary. I like it way better than Green Bay's by far, and I think it's the young secondary is what I like about this too, with Pat Surtain the second leading the way. So I like the Broncos this year. I like this whole division to be competitive. Let's be real, but I do like the Broncos to be one of the guys or one of the teams that possibly contend for at least that, definitely the wild card spot to maybe kick a team like the Chiefs, the Chargers, or heck, even finally prove the Raiders aren't playoff worthy. So, I think the Broncos this year definitely make the playoffs as long as their starters are healthy. They have to go into the depth part. It starts getting a lot more iffy.
Surprise, surprise! You don't have them winning the division, Tanner. But So the last question I wanted to ask is, what is your expectations for Russell Wilson and also for the team in general to finish up down? And I think it's fair to say you've got some thoughts on Russell Wilson.
I do. I want to start by saying I've been a Russell Wilson fan since he was at NC State. Then at Wisconsin, he balled out. Loved him there too. I wanted the Redskins, now Commanders, to draft him early. They took RG3 and Kirk Cousins in that draft. I've always been a fan of him. So I've never been a hater. I love him. He's a competitor, ultimate competitor. But I don't like what I'm seeing out of him this season, this offseason. He's been at every big event. He's posted a few workout videos with the guys here and there, but that to me is that's just optics. I don't really think he's putting in the work that these videos are showing. I see him at everything, and none of this stuff is football related. One coach a long time ago said something like, "I don't want my football players having any other interest. I want you to be 100% about football." I don't need that, but at least I want to see more on the field than I've seen out of him. He's living that Sierra life, that celebrity life, and he's wealthy. I get it, but for where this team can go, what they can be with this roster, he should be putting in the work because this team can be a Super Bowl team this year. But what I've seen, I'm picking them to be second place in the division, like Tanner said, wild card team. I don't think with what he's doing that he's going to be consistent enough on the field to get the job done. And their depth worries me too, like Tanner said.
At some point, Russell Wilson is starting to worry more about the brand of Russell Wilson than playing football. Whether it was like when Sierra, there was a reason he wanted out of Seattle or something. I think to get into, there was rumors 2 years ago he wanted into a bigger market. And people are looking at New York and Chicago. I mean, that deal almost got made two years ago to a deal to Chicago, and they just didn't. They couldn't make a deal. For whatever reason, he's more worried about Russell Wilson, the brand, than maybe winning football games. Now, I mean, as we know, though, too, at times, that comes with money. The brand comes with money. But now he's got the huge contract, so maybe he is going to be more focused back on football. Exactly. It's all about M-O-N-E-Y. And now he's got that contract. And for Denver, Tanner kind of alluded to it, this is a move that they had to make. Denver's been searching for a long-term quarterback since John Elway. I mean, we know that they had Peyton Manning, but that was a short-term gap, not a long-term solution. Now, it got him to
couple bowls.
Got him to 2 Super Bowls and won one, yes. But, I mean, since then, what have they had? It's been quarterback after quarterback after John Elway's looking for John Elway, and it is never been able to find it. And then Russell Wilson, it fell into his lap, and they made the deal, which they had to make because they couldn't. There was not a franchise quarterback out there for them to make and to get into the playoffs. So with Wilson, they're a playoff caliber team that can win this division possibly. Like I said, until proven otherwise, I'm going to pick the Andy Reid and Mahomes just because that's what Andy Reid does. He wins divisions. But we'll see. I mean, new offense coming from Green Bay. I expect they're going to do a lot of play action. They're going to run the ball. It's not going to be like this air raid offense. Like, Green Bay wasn't about that. It's going to be a lot of play action, hand the ball off to those 2 good running backs that Dale mentioned. And then it's going to be, play action, and you'll see Jerry Jeudy. I expect big things from Jeudy and Sutton if they can stay healthy. And that's a big if because neither one of those guys have been able to stay healthy the last few years. But Russell Wilson turned into Russell Wilson, the brand, and the go team, and let's ride. He's rocking his own jersey to opening day at training camp like he's some kid. I mean, it's an interesting read. But the thing of it is you ask people, you hear people around the league, and they just say that's him. It's not a show. It's not a phony. That's just legit him, which is, I mean, hey, man, everybody's a character these days,
It would seem. So, Tanner, what's your thoughts on the Broncos and expectations?
I think you're looking at another high year for Russell Wilson as long as he's healthy. I would have zero worries about anything going off the field. His meetings, his whatever he's doing, right? Going out partying with Sierra, who cares? You know why? Because there's great quarterbacks right now out there that are also out there in the media, also out there doing conferences, such as Aaron Rodgers, right? Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. They're all out there. Like, yeah, I'm sure Russell Wilson might be living more of a celebrity style than those guys, but I have zero worry because if you're a great NFL player, great quarterback, great football player, once he gets on that field, when it's time to get out there, start warming up, things turn. Russell Wilson will be Russell Wilson that we know. And like I said, as long as he's healthy, I think we're fine. And he doesn't get hurt very often anyway. So Russell Wilson's expectations for me in the Denver Broncos is definitely kind of that second, third spot in the division. It's really hard to pick between at least three of the teams. It's really hard to pick exactly where they fall for me. But I think you're looking at Russell Wilson definitely be at least a top 6, top 5 QB in the NFL. And then also that offense is just going to – I really believe Jerry Jeudy expectations that we've had for the last year or two is going to come to life, and Cortland Sutton's reemergence comes back into play this year. So like Mike at Basement Brewed Fantasy Football, Mikey said in some of his podcasts, and he said it with I believe with the Buffoon and Bodkins as well, that he believes that Sutton and Jeudy could be all very high up there in wide receiver fantasy value. That's because Russell Wilson makes those guys. Look at Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Yeah. Right.
Tanner, you say that about Aaron Rodgers, and we know Aaron Rodgers out there doing ayahuasca in Peru and stuff, but he's not having to learn a new offense and on a new team. Like, I mean, this is Russell Wilson. Maybe part of what Dale's saying is like he's trying to get himself out there, acclimated to the Denver people, and show that he's fully committed. Dale, is that part of that? You think it's like he's trying to show himself to endure the Denver fans?
Not really, because the things he's doing, they're not local. Just last night, he was at the U.S. Open out in New York. So, like I said, he's just living the celebrity life. And that's Tanner, you swayed me back to him a little bit.
It's okay.
He's a baller.
It's okay.
He's just flat out a baller. He's a baller. And he seems to be all in. The Les Ride stuff, like that stuff gets me fired up.
Look, the guy's bought into the system already. He bought into the coach. He wouldn't have agreed to this trade. You would have heard a lot more different situation come into play if he didn't want to be there and he didn't like the system. Russell will be okay. Let the guy do his celebrity stuff, whatever he wants to do.
Let Russ cook.
Yeah,
I've asked this on about every podcast that I've been on when we talk about Denver. Are you guys worried that it is like Russ is like either cold coming out and then he turns in hot, or it's vice versa? He's hot the first 8 games and then seems to fall off this last half of the season. Are you worried about that, Dale?
My wife is the biggest Denver fan in the world. She's from here. I met her here. I was talking to her about it last night. She was the one who actually brought up first that the celebrity stuff is worrying her, that he's going to get off to a cold start. And I share those concerns. I don't
think it's going to happen, man.
I hope you're right. I said, you swayed me a little bit.
Look, Russell Wilson has never had an offensive line that could protect him. This offensive line is more capable than what he's ever had in Seattle.
I wouldn't say that. Those years they went to the Super Bowl, that offense line was obviously pretty decent. I mean,
with Okung,
on the bottom hat, like middle of the group, this is like possibly at least a top 28 offensive line. This line than anything he's happened.
This line is definitely better than anything he's played with, despite having Okung in Seattle. And the backfield is one of the top ones too, despite having Lynch. Williams and Gordon they could both start on any team. Bodkins, where'd you have Denver in the division? I know Tannum had her second and third. I have them like second. Where do you have them?
Oh, I told you I had them kind of really second or third. Okay. Like I said, I got the Chiefs. I have the Raiders last because I just don't trust the Raiders defense.
That's surprising.
I just think they're and that might be bitterness because Devontae left me, so I'm a bitter ex, girlfriend who can't doesn't want her lover to succeed in his new in the new relationship. So But I do have the Raiders last, mainly because I don't trust their defense. You know, you look at their defense compared to everybody else's defense in this division. I have the Raiders as ranked fourth. You know, their offenses, all four of these offenses are just spectacular. And then, you know, but I always give the edge to when it comes down to coaching. When you rank everybody else, and it comes down to coaching in the quarterback position. And I like the Chiefs coaching and quarterback position better than I like the other ones. And then Denver and San Diego, I said San Diego, but LA are real close because with the new coach, you don't know what you're going to get. I think Justin Herbert is an absolute stud dog. And we'll see what happens. But again, until proven otherwise, the Chargers are going to Charger. And that means they're going to lose some games that they're probably supposed to win and finish 8-1 or some crap like that. Chargers going to Charger. Denver could probably sneak in as the 2 seed, and you know Chargers will be 3. But you can make a case for all 4 of these teams here.
I see Rob down there.
Yeah, I was going to say we do have a Raiders and Chargers fans waiting, so I'm sure they'll love that. But Dale, I just want to thank you for joining us. Tell everyone when your next podcast drops and when they can check it out.
I'm going to try to record something today and get it out today, but definitely at some point before the first game on Thursday, I get some Broncos and NFL talk in general going. So y'all look out for us at the Talking Hack, Hack the Talking Hats, at Talking Hats on Twitter, at DC2 Aurora is my personal, and for the Talking Hats on at Talking Hats podcast on YouTube. So thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
No problem at all.
Definitely.
And
I'll be in touch too. So definitely.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
I'll speak to you next week and looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
All right. Unless
that was Adele, and now we've got our Raiders contributor in David Hill, producer and director at HSBN Network. Thanks for joining us today, David.
It's great to be here. I love listening to you guys. The banter all around is it's fantastic.
Well, this is going to be really good then.
Yeah. Well, you need the Raiders perspective in here. You got every other one in here, but
that's right.
I didn't know we was bringing everybody in. Now I feel bad about all the crap I talked about the Raiders. I didn't know I was going to have to face a fan today. I was going to come prepared. I'd have been better prepared. I would have saved less. I'd have saved more ammo. I was blowing out all my guns here.
Yeah, well, I know you've got a few left in you to fire. Right?
Trust me, he has. So this is Nick. He's, as you can guess, a Packers fan. Big part of Let's Talk Sports. So, and as you can guess, Tanner is a resident Chiefs fan. So I want to thank you for joining us, David.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you for having me, man. This is fun. Can't wait for the season to start.
Yeah, same here. So, if you, before we get down to the Raiders, if you tell everyone a little bit about your content, and so they can check out your work.
Yeah, sure. At HSPN Sports is Twitter. That also carries over to Instagram. HSPN Sports would be heavily into, and HSPN Sports stands for High School Programming Network. So largely a lot of high school content. I'm here now in the Southern California area. You're going to get some of the best high school football in the country, which then will carry over obviously into college and on into the pros. And so you're going to see some players that are going to be pretty dynamic at the high school level, and don't be surprised if you see them in 4 to 6 short years making the NFL.
Very awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so we get to see it from the very beginning, and just a lot of exciting high school sports. Probably the biggest and best league in the country, in what's called the Trinity League. That you got St. John Bosco, you got Mater Dei, you got Servite, Becerra, Santa Margarita, Orange Lutheran. All of those schools are part of this Trinity League, and the 2 big dogs are Bosco and Mater Dei. Servite's down a little bit this year, but you're going to see some great players come out of these schools.
David, cool. You got real quick before we get into the Raiders, you got any names I need to remember so I can say, hey, Dave Hill was on this guy 4 years ago?
Yeah, there's a kid by the name of Peyton Woodyard, Woodyyard. Watch for him. Peyton Woodyard, probably now ranked pretty close to the top safety in the country as a junior. He should definitely be in the top 5. We've had him on the podcast before out of St. John Bosco. That's the one I'd point to as one that has a close relationship with us. We're a lot of times back and forth on Facebook and on Twitter, etc. So watch that kid. That kid's got every offer in the book, so he can go anywhere he wants to. But let's keep an eye on him. So I expect him to be a guy that will be on somebody's NFL roster in what, 4 or 5 years?
4 or 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first. So David's been on this channel a few times, and big Raiders fan. So I guess we ain't talked since the end of last season. So just wanted to get your thoughts on the roster in general, and of course adding, and I'm sure this will be a little bit painful to the guy to the right of you, Devontae Adams.
Well, I tell you what, you look at this conference and listen to you guys. You guys are right. I mean, this again, like the Trinity Conference for the high schools. This conference is this not the best conference in all of NFL with the 4 teams?
Yes.
There's nobody else, no other conference.
Top to bottom, it's the best.
Same conference. This is the best conference in the NFL. So who's going to knock off who? I think as far as the Raiders are concerned, I like the upgrade. I think we've made an upgrade at coach. I love John Gruden. I love the aura of John Gruden. I'm sorry he hit the skids the way that he did, but I think from an overall perspective, I think having Josh in there is going to be a bigger offensive deal for us. I think it's going to be a better deal for Derek Carr. I really do. And so I think this is a better second time around for him. And so
more importantly, John Gruden's not drafting anymore. That's the most important thing.
That was a little tenuous. So I think we're better all the way around with Josh McDaniels. And we'll see what happens there. I know how painful it is to know that you had to break up with Devontae Adams, but this too shall pass. All is fair in love and war. I think it's a good combination between Derek and Devontae. Obviously, they played together before college, right? I think they played together in college.
Yeah, Fresno State. Yeah, Fresno State. Yep, that's the reason he wanted to go to Oakland, Las Vegas.
That's fantastic. I know. It's hard to say Las Vegas, isn't it?
Yeah.
they still have an Oakland mentality, which is just fine. And so I think that combination is great. I like the fact that they've made some changes up front on that offensive line. Everybody, and you guys talked about it before, the protection for Russell Wilson, for example. Well, Derek Carr's protection is essential. And more so than that, they've got to be able to run the football. We've still got to run. I know the NFL has changed. You look out there, and I was at a couple preseason games out there. I was at the Chargers preseason games with the Rams. When you look at personnel, okay, on the defensive side of the ball, linebackers aren't linebackers from the past. These aren't slow plugging guys. These are all like hybrid safety guys that are playing linebacker. That's what you see now. So you've got to be able to shore up your defense. You've got to have edge rushers. We have that in Crosby. We got it in Chandler Jones. We've got the edge rushers. Now you better have 2 stud tackles, a 1 and a 3 technique that can help stop the run, and you better have guys on the back end of that defense that can cover. I think we're better, but I worry too that we're not quite where we need to be defensively. So offensive line, I think we've made some improvements. We've got to run the football. Derek Carr will be better than he was before, and he had a good year last year. So.
David, were you surprised that they didn't stick with Coach Bisaccia? Because I loved Bisaccia. I thought those guys really got behind him in that playoff run. I mean, the Raiders were kind of left for dead, especially after everything they went through last season with the John Gruden stuff. Yeah. The what was that wide receiver, Tanner, that the DUI? Henry Ruggs. Yeah, Henry Ruggs, the Henry Ruggs situation. I mean, they were literally left for dead. Probably any other team would have crumbled. But here comes Rich Bisaccia, this special teams coach who's been around the league. Guys spoke highly of him. Maybe I've been sipping the Kool-Aid from Will Compton on Bustin' with the Boys about how he talks about Rich Bisaccia. I mean, were you surprised that they didn't bring him back with that run, that special run that they had, and let him go? I mean, we'll take him in Green Bay. Maybe he can coach us our special teams, but I thought he was for sure going to be the head coach of the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest with you. No, I'm not surprised. I think because of the enigma that the Raiders are and the brand that they are, even though I do agree he did a beautiful job. And part of the reason he did do such a great job holding that team together is the personality, and the guys bought into him as a personality. But I tell you this, because I've been a special teams coach, one of the things that everybody kept saying about him is that he does know every one of the personnel. As a special teams coach, you know what guys can do what. And so that's a valuable piece, but I don't feel like it's a big enough name for the brand that is the Raiders. I'm sorry. I got nothing.
It's true.
I got nothing against Basage, and I would have been nice to retain him, but it's kind of tough to come down from, being the head coach the way he did and have the run that he did to come back and just be special teams guy. So he moves on, and, I wish him the best of luck and everything, but I just don't think it would have been a big enough hire for the Raiders. Okay. That's it.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus the whole new regime, the guy's going to go out and get his own head coach that he wants, which he did.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So that's the only thing I think. And that's a great question, and we'll take the run, but I think we're a little bit better off with Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So the next question I wanted to ask all three of you is the expectation for the Raiders and how much faith do you have in McDaniels being the guy? Obviously, he's had a lot of success in New England. It didn't quite work out with his first spell as a head coach. If we start with you, Tanner, being a Chiefs fan, obviously watching them from afar.
Yeah, so I think McDaniels is going to have a better situation this time around than he had with Denver when he was a head coach. Plus, he has a lot more experience with play. He had Bill Belichick for how long? Seemed like forever. Plus, he already had his head coaching experience. Look at a guy like Pete Carroll, for instance. He started out, it was rough with him and the Jets. He left for college. He didn't. Luckily, McDaniels didn't have to do that route. So he got to go to learn some stuff with one of probably the best head coach out there right now, at least in history almost. So with Belichick. And so now he's got that experience down. He's already had a head coach experience with Denver. And now he can go to a Raiders team where they're not rebuilding because now they're loaded up again. They have an established quarterback with Derek Carr that, he might be undervalued for most, but the reason he's undervalued is because he's made his point that he can suck at times. Really can, to be plain frank. But I like that they went out and actually got a draft this time around that they could keep some guys around over 1.5 years going into play. I like the Zamir White pick. I love the Zamir White coming to play because I think that's going to be a huge factor with Josh Jacobs not accepting, or they didn't offer his 5th year. So that's a guy that's going to play to possibly start next year for this Raiders team. So I like the Raiders here. I think there's still pieces for them to develop on defense yet, but they're going to have a whole draft come into play next year to really get that defense pounded. So I'm not going to say I don't like them at first or second. I could see them squeeze in a 3rd place here or possibly even finish last, but it's not going to be like a Chicago Bears last by any means. This is going to be a team that's probably going to have a winning record sitting at 4. And I think anybody in this division is going to be that way. But I think, I don't know. I don't hate the Raiders by any means. It's not like I don't want to sit there and bash them as a Chiefs fan or anything. They got players on here. They're just not, I just think the talent that's in the AFC West right now there's just some pieces missing to be able to, maybe go above and beyond some of these other guys.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Bodkins, how do you feel about the expectations going into the season?
So, I mean, we were talking about the coach that they got. I mean, this is his second tenure. I forget, I'm drawing a blank on what his name is all of a sudden.
Josh McDaniels.
McDaniels. So this is his second stint. But here's the thing, he was at Belichick in New England. Then he went to Denver. And then he actually was in St. Louis for like a year, and then went back to New England. Here's the thing about Bill Belichick disciples. Name one that was any good. Oh, that's right. Zero. I mean,
he breaks
for whatever,
the streak, though.
For whatever reason.
What about my man in Pittsburgh? Did he coach with the
Tomlin?
No. Mike Tomlin is not from the Belichick tree.
No,
He's from
the new guy, the Miami coach from last year. What's his name?
Brian Flores. Flores was Flores. You could. I mean, but unfortunately, it didn't work out for whatever reason, and he was fired.
Nick, here's the issue though: is all those other guys like Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, they never had head coaching experience beforehand. Josh McDaniels had head coach. Coaching.
Yeah, and
now
this
he has
is
a chance to redeem himself.
He does. But I mean, Romeo Crennel, better than anybody, Tanner. That was his second or third stint when he went to Kansas City. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, for whatever reason, it doesn't work out for Bill Belichick disciples. Can it work out? He has this is his best team he's had as a head coach. He has the quarterback. We know, Carr's better than Timmy Tebow and anything he ever had in Denver. This is the best team he's had. I do worry about their defense, like I stated earlier, but if it doesn't work out, there will be some flags raised because they added Devontae. They have talent. Their offensive line is going to be a little questionable at times. David kind of alluded to that. They got to be able to run the ball. There's two things you still got to do. I mean, the game has changed, like David was saying, but there's two things you got to do. You got to be able to run the ball, and you got to be able to stop the run. You do those two things, you're going to be okay. I think they'll be able to stop the run because I think I'm high on Max Crosby. Love the guy. He's got a high motor, just an excellent dude as a leader. But we'll see if Josh McDaniels, if it doesn't, there's going to be a lot of red flags because they have so much talent and because Bisaccia took that team left for dead last year and made the playoffs. And so the pressure will be on McDaniels for this team to make the playoffs. I think him and the Chargers coach have the most pressure on them to succeed this year as far as the coachings in this division.
Don't forget the veteran leadership that was added to this, that a winning culture. Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones. Winning cultures, winning players develop cultures in that. If they can do that. So that's
true, but the Raiders don't have a winning culture. They haven't won a playoff game in over 20 years.
That's why they brought in these guys.
They've been bringing guys in for 20 years, Tanner.
Not like that. Not to that level.
David, I'm sure you have a difference of opinion. Before we let you go, what's your expectation?
So much a different opinion. I think Bod got it right. I mean, there's a lot to be seen yet, and so a lot said, but I have yet to see. So I have great confidence that they've got a lot of pieces that they need. I am a little worried about the defense. I'll tell you what I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about the Boy Scout head coach down there in San Diego. He looks like a doggone Boy Scout. For crying out loud. I give him. I mean, I'm sure he's quite qualified, but I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know that he gets the Chargers, which is just fine. I don't know if he gets the Chargers over the top. So he can go ahead and keep on being the head coach and be the Boy Scout that he wants to be. I'll take the rest of the field. Okay. However, the Raiders fall in. So if they're third in the division, right, and it's uphill climb because Kansas City's going to be there. Denver, I think will be there.
Good. Again, if they have starters healthy,
they'll be good. I still think Russell Wilson has some things to prove, quite honestly, more so than Derek Carr. So he's with a new team. So if third in that division, does that get a team into the playoffs?
In this division, there's two things that concern me about this division. I think they're going to beat up on each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's going to sweep anybody in this division. I think you could just see, flip flop as far as this division is concerned. So they're going to beat up on each other, and maybe somebody will backdoor their way in because they're in a weaker division, a la the Titans or somebody, where they're beating up on the Texans and Jags. And maybe knocks out one of them teams. But I think, roster-wise, I think you could say three of these teams, maybe all four of these teams could easily make the playoffs. But I just worry about them beating up on each other because they have to play each other. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, and just think, by doing that, and you see this, you see this in college and it happens in high school too, by virtue of the depth of competition, whoever gets to those playoffs is going to be really, really, they'll be battle tested. They'll be ready for a successful run in the playoffs. You saw that with the Raiders. They should have won that football game.
They should have won that
game. They should have won that game and moved on. So, they got a taste of it after it being a while since they've been in there. And so I'm hoping that now we get over the hump a little, get back. Just
Yeah,
say something.
I love it.
it's
And
can be.
what become the Raiders that they used to be, man. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. And I think all of Las Vegas, I think it's good for football when the Raiders are out there like that. I think it's good for all of football when the Raiders are back on the scene.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Well, I just want to thank you, David, for
Sure.
joining
Thanks,
us.
David. Appreciate
today.
it.
Oh, man, I had fun
See you,
with you.
David.
I'm surprised. I'm here getting my car serviced at the Valvoline oil place. And so they're yelling behind me, this and that. I was like, oh, my God, I hope they don't come in the middle of all this.
They're probably chiming in. They're trying to chime in.
Yeah, and I'm watching them like a hawk, too. I don't want them to do anything they're not supposed to be doing, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyhow, it's been a pleasure, guys.
Yeah, thanks,
See you, David. Appreciate it.
Yep, speak to you soon. Thanks, David.
Bye-bye now.
So, our next guest, Rob Logan, of course, Chargers fan. And I saw him shaking his head at some of the comments. I'm sure
He was looking
he's
around
got
he was looking around too at the last comment.
Rob, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dan. It's always a pleasure, guys. How you doing?
What's going on, Rob?
What's up, Rob?
What's going on?
I guess we'll just jump right into it. What are your, well, I know the answer to this. What is your expectation for this roster? And also, how much do you disagree with the last segment?
Well, Dan, I was coming into this going to be, just, keep it all positive, be real nice with everybody and not create any waves. But
Bodkins ruined that
first
time.
Waves, brother. Hey, when I get in the pool, I create waves. I'm a cannonball creating. I'm splashing everybody. We all getting wet.
Right. Well, with scheduling me after a Raider fan, that was kind of the end of the deal right there. So, I mean, Josh McDaniels, come on. As a head coach, look at his coaching. Who did he have as a quarterback for most of the time in New England?
What was it? John.
Some guy named Brady. Some guy named Brady.
The best of all time. So, come on. Raiders. But anyway, the trendy pick by a lot of people are the Chargers to go and have a very good season. If you look betting wise, they are in the, I think, top 5 or 6 to win the Super Bowl as far as odds go. So there's a lot of talk about them. But, you guys did allude to it. There's always seems to be a lot of talk about the Chargers, and it doesn't always come to fruition.
That's where the expression "Charger's going to Charger" come from, Rob. You've obviously as a Charger fan, you know it. It's 8-1, baby, every year. Now that there's 17 games, it used to be 8-8 because it was 16, but now you throw in a tie or something like that to make it 8-1. Charger's going to Charger, and I feel, hey, the Cubs are going to Cub. You know what I mean? That's it. Packers going to Packer in the NFC Championship game. It happens, brother.
And in most seasons, I would agree with that. But I got to say, this season, the GM, Tom Telesco, has really, I thought, did a really good job of going out and plugging in some of the holes and some of the deficits that, especially on the defensive side, that the Chargers were facing. The offense was always clicking last year. They were always putting up points. You're looking at a perennial MVP, and I actually just went in this morning and put some money down for Herbert to win the MVP this year. So, you're looking at, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You have a great offensive line. You have 2 first-round picks right there on the offensive line, blocking for him. And, you have a good running game. You have 2 stud receivers in Allen and Williams. You also have, who I'm real high on, Joshua Palmer as your 3rd slot guy. So that offense will click. The question was always the defense. And, they went out and did what they need to do. First, signing, Derwin James to, the contract that they did, making him the highest paid safety in the league. He will be extremely happy, extremely motivated to prove.
As he sits on the IR every year. When was the last time Derwin James played 17 games, 16 games? It seems like every year he's got 2 ACLs that are both blown out, bro.
Well, he did play all year last year. So, we'll see.
That means this year.
We'll see what happens this year, and then they go out and they get probably one of the best cornerbacks in J.C. Jackson, and then by the way, we signed Khalil Mack too as well. So they've definitely gone out and did what they had to do on the defensive side to try to win games, and I think by doing that, they've put themselves in the position. I think you guys I've been listening to you guys all. I mean, this league, this West division is probably by far the best division in the NFL as far as from top to bottom. So they are going to beat up on one another. However, playing everybody else outside of the division, I think the Chargers will be the team that will come out on top. And, it'll be close, but, I definitely think it's between the Chargers and the Chiefs to get that one spot.
Rob, sorry, Tan. I just wanted to ask Rob a quick question. Are you worried about the coach? It seems like last year he just listened to too many analytics, went too many, on fourth down, had a lot of questionable calls all the way up into, the game where they should have been in the playoffs. They should have been there. All the way up into that game. There's a lot of questionable things that hurt them. I mean, it's like going for fourth down. I'm all about going for fourth down and risking it when it's necessary. But it seemed like too many times he just listened to analytics. Are you worried about that? Or do you think he's going to grow from that? Because I think that's their biggest question mark outside of just health. Everybody's got to stay healthy.
I definitely think he'll grow from it. I've read some interviews with him where, he regrets some of the moves he makes, but the way he was looking at it, and I think how he was trying to play the game was he was trying to put, the ball in, the best player's hands, which was, Justin Herbert at that time. And, trying to, give him the opportunity to win games by going for it on all these fourth downs. I mean, that's not the way to go. I think he did learn from that. And I did read in a couple of articles where he says, he did regret it and, he will think about it differently. But close games, yes. Until he can win the close games and prove that, his coaching ability is, what it is. Yes, that's going to be a question. But looking at other coaches, he's a great defensive coach, defensive minded. I mean, he had the number one defense in the league a couple of years ago. They have a lot of the pieces of the puzzle on defense to be a really great defensive team. And, a lot of those games last year might not have been that close if they did have a better defense. I mean, the offense definitely was winning them a lot of games. And, on the defensive side is where they really, kind of misplayed a lot of things. So, that is a question mark. I will agree with that. But as he gets older, obviously he's a very young coach, but, he needs to learn just like any other position and just like any other, anybody else on the team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So before I let you go, Rob, I know you've had your second episode of your new show, the College Football Roundup show. So I would encourage everyone to check that out. And also, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Rob, got
Yes.
a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think the Chiefs are gonna pull the Jayhawks and beat your Chargers and Villanova like they did Villanova? I couldn't help it.
Listen, that was a tough draw right there for them. Especially,
losing the guy right beforehand too,
Yeah, losing Justin Moore. I mean, it's one thing if, you lose one of your best players and you have, more than a week to adjust for it and maybe, putting a little bit of a different game plan in place. But that was tough. But college basketball that was just fun.
Oh, it was a blast.
All March Madness is awesome. I mean, it's great. And, I think they overachieved getting to the Final Four last year. So I was happy with that. Yes, I would have liked to seen something a little bit different. I wouldn't have liked to seen Moore get hurt, to see how that
I didn't want him to get hurt either. I was actually upset. I was like, well, now we're going to go and face a Villanova team that's uncertain because this guy plays so many minutes, almost the entire game for them. So yeah, I mean it was a big loss, but I had to take that shot while I had you on. So.
No, that's cool. I could take it. I take all the shots. I'm used to it. Hey, like I said, I'm a Charger fan. I've been taking shots my entire life, and that's
true.
how it is.
Hey, by the way, before you do go, I do have the Chargers winning the division, so just want to throw that out there.
Woo!
That is
live from Chiefs Kingdom. Hey, live from Chiefs Kingdom.
Yep.
And that's a very trendy pick right now. I mean, if you do go on a lot of these betting sites, the odds are definitely not as good. Well, they're good, but if you're going to try to take a chance on a team, the Chargers are favorite.
Yeah.
Why is that? I mean, why is that? Why are everybody picking the Chargers? Because I'm a proponent as until proven otherwise. Andy Reid and Mahomes. 8 straight years of winning this division. The Chargers, like I've said 1,000 times, the Chargers are going to Charger here. But why are people just picking it? Because it's all
the change. It's all the change within the Chiefs, within the Broncos,
what are the Chiefs?
The Raiders.
What did the Chiefs lose? I mean, the Chiefs lost their receiver and their
almost whole receiving core. Uncertain of the defense. That's super young. It's gonna be flying around. They're gonna be hitting, but they're super young. But the Chargers went out and they got depth. They got veterans. They got
everybody
as well.
So because the Chiefs lost Hill and a couple other wide receivers, everybody just forgets that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are how good they are. I mean, that's what's happening, though. That's exactly what's happening.
Hold on. I mean, and no offense, but I've watched Andy Reid. I'm from New Jersey, so I've seen Andy Reid up close with the Eagles for many years. So it's calling him a genius coach. That's a little suspect to me. I mean, he had a lot of great players on that Chiefs team to win the Super Bowl with. But look at all those years with the Eagles when the Eagles were by far the best team in the NFC, and how many Super Bowls did they go to?
That's what I never picked until the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I was never picking the Chiefs in the playoffs because Andy Reid was Andy Reid and the Chiefs were going to Chief again until proven otherwise. And then they proved, but we're not talking about playoffs. We're talking about the playoffs. We're not talking about the playoffs. We're talking about the division here. So everybody's just, jumping on this Charger bandwagon when they haven't proven anything. I think Justin Herbert is an absolute stud, and I can't wait to watch him and Mahomes for the next 15 years duke it out and things like that. But I just, until proven otherwise, something about that those blue jerseys that just, they lose games that they should win.
The other thing too is around the league, there's a big trend for a lot of these younger head coaches as well. And they're, like you look like Sean McVay last year and everything. And I think that's another reason why, I mean, you did bring up his questionable calls, but I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten about that. And they're looking at that, new head coach, going to kind of, make his mark and, kind of be the next Sean McVay. And he's definitely one of the ones that, could possibly, obviously he coached underneath them. So he could possibly be that next, next coach that everybody's talking about.
Aggressiveness is the new style all the way across sports.
Yeah, I would agree. So Rob, thanks for coming on. I know you're coming back on Friday, and I'm looking forward to hearing your week 1 preview next week.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's a pleasure. Great listening
to you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So Tanner, now for your turn, and we've talked the roster off season. So if we dive right into expectations, and you've sort of alluded there, so I'll cut right to the chase. So why do you think the Chiefs stink?
I don't think they stink. I mean, I think they're going to compete. I just think the Chargers again have more of that veteran presence on defense. We have a lot of young guys coming into play on this defense, a lot of young guys, and there's also a lot of new pieces with this defense as well. So I believe the Chargers are more set up as a overall team than the Chiefs right now. but I'm not going to say that the Chiefs aren't going to be there in playing in Week 16, not playing for a division title, because they're going to be. I just think if I'm looking at it now, I think the Chargers just have that one up with the overall team as it is, and they just signed Sony Michel, by the way, to the running back depth, because Eckler. No, look what Sony did last year coming off the bench for the Rams. So
hey, as JG would say, that's a jag, right? Just another guy. I mean, Sony Michel's a jag. He's just another guy.
It is, but also, if it keeps Eckler on the field, then it turns into not just another guy, because it's a reason why you've got a game changer on the field. So
the reason.
You're going to tell me Kelly is going to be the guy you want to be,
No, but the reason they want Sony Michel is because, I mean, Eckler can't stay. He hasn't been healthy. I mean, here's the thing about the Chargers. Everybody's jumping on them, but a lot of these guys haven't been healthy or played a long season. Mike Williams seems to always be shaking up a few games.
Always.
Keenan Allen always out of 2 or 3 games.
He's actually been playing pretty well. Yeah,
he's Eckler, same thing. It seems like he's somewhere always getting dinged up and missing games, or we alluded to Derwin James always hurt.
Derwin, in his 3 seasons, he's only missed basically almost the entire season. Played 5 games in 19 or whatever 20, but outside of that, he started every game.
JC Jackson's already dinged up. Khalil Mack, I mean, since Aaron Rodgers did him on a Monday night game where they thought Rodgers was hurt, I ain't heard Khalil Mack's name in 5 years.
Yeah, but he also doesn't have anybody on the other side. Now he does with Joey Bosa.
So
there's people on that Chargers team that everybody.
Where's that Khalil Mack been at? So that's the thing, is the Chargers got a hit in health. I mean, I'm just, until proven otherwise, give me Andy Reid and Patty Mahomes and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Those right there. You look at Mahomes and Kelce; they're the top 2-3 guys at their position. Can you say that about any position in the Chargers right now on the offense?
Quarterback. Maybe quarterback.
Herbert's not top 3, top 5. He's
not top 5.
Are you going to say he's top 5 at potential right now? If you listed 1 through 5, where's Herbert at? Because you got Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes, and then Josh Allen. You going to put Herbert at 5?
We'll put Herbert over Lamar.
I mean, I would give you that, but I mean, maybe Herbert at 5, 6. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah, I like the Chiefs. Like I said, I think they're going to be the one. It's going to be the 1-2 spot for them. They got it's just a lot of young guys on that team right now, and a lot of uncertainty.
I think it's interesting. I'm with Bodkins. I'm always, when someone's being a proven winner, until the other team shows me it, I'm making Chiefs the favourite. Do they have a few more question marks than last year? Yes, but I'm still banking on Mahomes' brilliance and Andy Reid as well until they show me otherwise. So, the last thing I wanted to ask both of you is, if we start with you, Nick, what content have you got coming up this week?
So we got a fully loaded weekend here on the old Bodkins show. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Central, we're going to have our UFC Head Kicks and Haymakers show. And then Sunday night, Kenny and Craig joining me back. We're going to give our full division preview. Sunday night, we'll be breaking down every division, giving our picks. That'll happen Sunday night about, I think we're going to go try to do 8 Central p.m. So we'll have a show in the morning for you tomorrow morning, covering all UFC. And then Sunday night, we'll be talking football. And then Kenny and Craig will be talking a little fantasy at the end of that as well, giving their guys that they're a little higher on. And then we'll have the Monday, hopefully a return of Buffoon and Bodkins as we took a week off. And then Wednesday night, Kenny and Craig joining me back. We're going to start our own weekly. We'll have our own weekly Wednesday week 1 preview. We'll be picking all the games against the spread, plus a little fantasy. Kenny and Craig giving some fantasy tips for week 1. So that'll be kind of wrapping up the week, plus my morning Wednesday sports wrap-up show. So full weekend ahead here on the Bodkins show as, we're excited as football is getting ready to kick off here in a couple days.
Yeah. Sounds like a very packed week, to be honest. And I know some of it was previewed there, but what have you got going on this week, Tanner?
Yeah, so today I just recently, or I guess we recently just released our season expectation video for the Kansas City Chiefs on Settling the Kingdom channel, our Chiefs exclusive channel. So if you guys haven't seen it, subscribe, like, go check it out. That's where we're gonna do all our live and post games, or our live shows, our post game shows, our pre-game shows, and any Chiefs news and rumors. So go like and subscribe to that. Outside of that, for Let's Talk Sports, I'm actually gonna interview and talk with Carolina Boys on Twitter. I met a couple weeks ago, and he's going to come on, and we're going to do kind of what Dan does, essentially, just a quick interview. We'll talk some Chiefs as well, and just kind of get share some content, see how his journey has gone. Monday night, Buffoon Bodkins. I heard JG might join us for some NBA in that case, but we'll and of course Jonathan should be on as well. And then what we got Wednesday is it's a big show again. We got our AFC West preview coming into play. It'll be pretty quick. We'll be talking a little bit of Chiefs on there as well, and then kind of our NFL Week 1 expectations preview, whatever you want to say, going into play. And then we start NFL pregame shows, Chiefs pregame shows, all that shebang next weekend. So super excited for it.
Yeah, we're getting down to the business end of the NFL season. Got so much content planned,
so much all over the place.
I was going to say, trust me, it's hard to keep track sometimes. Everyone, be sure to not just subscribe to Let's Talk Sports.
Hey, on the Buffoon and Bodkins, I'll also be doing my fantasy draft right here while we're talking, so that'll be fun, Tanner. So I'll be shouting out some names and guys, because we were going to get together, but I'll look real fun. Hey, as much as Tanner's been pre-drafted and on there, he should be top knowledge here. He's close to Ryan Larson as far as knowledge wise, as much as he's
put an article out, right?
Yeah. So but I'll be drafting while on the show, so that'll be fun. So on Buffoon and Bodkins Monday.
Good time.
Yes, everyone, be sure to subscribe to that, and I just want to thank both of you for joining me today.
Thank you again.
Always, Dan. Always.
No problem at all. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Everyone who commented. And until next time, Let's Talk Sport fans. Thanks for watching.